At some point very soon, the luxury industry is going to collapse completely.
I've lost hope for humanity. I've lost hope for fashion.
Doom scroll the Eternal Essence sale and buy something purely because it's 60% off and not because you actually like it.
Virality over vitality. A thumbnail over a garment. A photo prop over an outfit.
Who's out there doing stuff with some longevity, with some history and notoriety and scale, like size as a business? Well, as with many things in fashion, I say, let's look to the Japanese. First, let me tell you about one of the coolest brands in fashion. They're called Ready Made. Founded in 2013 by Yuta Hosokawa, Ready Made is maybe the greatest, if you know brand in fashion. They're incredibly respected by people in the know, and their pieces are stocked at some of the coolest and most exclusive stores in the world. Ready Made's shtick, if you want to call it a shtick, which I really don't because that feels insulting, is that basically all of their pieces are made from vintage military materials. The idea is kind of childlike in the best way. Basically, this guy Yuta, he had this brand in the mid-2000s called Sex Primer. So I actually had an epiphany while I was recording this, and I was like, I wonder if it's actually French. So I looked it up, and I think it's Sex Primer. I don't know how to actually pronounce it, but it means speaking out, and it's French. It's not Sex Primer, like I said here. Yeah. Sex Primer, I don't even know how to say it. Weird name, yeah, but it was kind of like Vivienne Westwood's Seditionaries Worship in the best way, basically that Japanese punk lineage of making crusty, grungy, destroyed rock and roll garments. But then he had this idea to promote world peace, okay, by using these materials that were made for war and repurposing them as items for pleasure. Clothing items, and that's why you'll see stuff like flowers and smiley faces and stuff on their pieces. It's all this peace and love kind of thing, and you know what? Let me show you what Ready Made is all about. So I was hoping to have more of this done before I did the great unveiling, but as you can see, my room is not done at all. So this will have to do. So the great reveal. There you go, the beautiful butler stand that my wife got me recently for my birthday. I think this is going to do wonders for us, but it'll help me better show you some of these pieces. So these right here are an incredible example of what Ready Made does. This is the kind of stuff that they are best known for, and these are the tactical shorts, all right? And it's yeah, they're a pretty sweet pair of army green cargo shorts. Nothing to complain about there, right? No, there is so much crazy stuff going on here. But first, let me tell you a bit about them. So as we said, these pieces are essentially one of one for the most part. And the coolest part is that on the tags at the back of the neck or whatever the case may be, Yuta actually writes in the name of the piece and what it's made out of. So these are made in Japan. They are the tactical shorts, and I will just say Yuta has some really rough handwriting. I really struggle with it, but these are made from vintage US. It looks like verses, but US, and then I can't tell what that says at all. I believe what that might say is US Flight Test Shell, and that'll make sense in a little bit here. So first of all, you do get some incredible elements of Japanese craftsmanship. You get these repaired pieces here, which start to look like kind of Boro type stuff that you'll see from Capital and brands like that. This is a very specific way of doing repairing that is very visible compared to the type of tailored repairs that you'll see from your local tailor. But there's also a very unique shape to these cargo pockets, right? And that's because they're cargo pockets XXXXL, okay? So you do have these nice little pieces here, which are, I'm assuming, from the original vintage military pieces. You do have some snap cargo pockets at the front here with some really, really nice snaps. That's the good stuff right there. While we're here, drop crotch shape, by the way, very Japanese. So right here we've got a zipper, which may have been original to the flight test piece, but as you'll see, we will do a massive unzip around this entire thing, which will allow us to open up to the craziest inside cargo pieces that I've ever seen. So first off, full camo, all right? Velcro pockets. I don't even know the full breadth of what's in here. It's just absolutely absurd. You open this up and you've got more optionality right here. It's just the cargo-iest of cargo pockets. And that exists at both of them, but they each have slightly different functionality and use cases and things. It's just the coolest repurposing of military stuff I've ever seen. And the best part is that it's actually just just made really, really, really well, like using the camo to line the inside of the pockets here. It's a really nice like 4-layered piece of elastication here at the waist. The back goes hard as well, like use some really, really nice high quality zippers for the back pockets, has the flap going over to kind of hide the zipper. It's really, really well made. So like I said, when most people think of like ready-made military stuff, like the core of the brand, they're thinking of pieces like this, but this stuff is not all they do. So there was one other ready-made piece that I saw that I just got so curious about. It was not like my style. It was not a piece I was going out of my way to look for, but I saw it and I was like, I want to show this on the channel. So right here, we have got another piece that Ready-Made does very well with, and that is a handbag. A pink paisley bandana handbag with like fake pearls and rope, and this thing is just crazy. But this is one I just found such a crazy deal on. I basically got it for like fashion arbitrage purposes, knowing I could resell it for crazy, because these handbags, they're as expensive as like some of the biggest brands in the world, like Saint Laurent or something like that. Like they charge $3,000 to $6,000 for bags like these. And that's because they're probably really hard to make and source, because let's look inside this. All right, first of all, really cool stuff here. You've got, it's like a Chanel bag or anything. It's really well made with a little twist right there. You open this up, that's suede on the inside, gorgeous. And you can see these like chains on the inside going around this like leather strap, because this right here pulls out all the way to kind of be like a shoulder strap, all right? And here is where I will struggle with Utah's handwriting again, because I think, maybe correct me if I'm wrong, that says peace bag, but maybe with an S instead of a C in peace. And then I think it says made from vintage US bandanas. So these are vintage pink bandanas that Utah found from the United States. I really like how he laid out the pattern. It almost looks like some kind of eyes or something there. And I just think this bag is so interesting because it really hammers home what Ready-Made is all about. Like the shorts underneath here are kind of like bulbous in this avant-garde way that kind of has a whimsy to it, but this very much so hammers home the theme of using like these wartime materials to make something full of love and peace. And I think it also really shows what people love so much about this brand, which is that they make really, really good stuff. Like this clearly is meant to compete with, you know, Chanel, Louis Vuitton, Saint Laurent, all of these high-end accessory brands. And I really think Chanel especially, because look at this rope, this kind of like nautical rope with these like fake plastic pearls going around. It's very, very whimsical, but also like hard-edged with the chain going around the leather. So I actually really, really love this bag, much more than I expected to. So I don't know, do you think I can pull it off? Should I flip it? Because I can definitely make some good money on it, but I also kind of love it and like don't want to get rid of it. I don't know, let me know. Now here's the funny thing about Ready-Made. Even they have had to make compromises to stay afloat and have enough pieces to sell. One pieces just don't pay the bills, I guess, and maybe that's the moral of the story. Anyway, Ready-Made has done a ton of collaborations, like way too many collaborations in my opinion, and the collabs are more like throwaway streetwear pieces. And I get that whole collab thing really had its era, but I don't think it aged well, and I don't think those collab pieces fit well at all into the upcycled military surplus craftsman stuff that is really the core of the brand. And beyond that, Utah went off to found another brand that viewers of this channel may be more familiar with, St. Michael. Yeah, St. Michael's clothes are made by Utah, the guy from Ready-Made, and then the graphics and visuals are done by an American dude named Callie. And I do find St. Michael's clothing to be very high quality, like Ready-Made's, but it doesn't have the like love and care imbued it that I feel like Ready-Made does. And again, just kind of comes off as a project to help pay the bills because t-shirts and hoodies make the money, not jackets made out of like World War II parachutes. Even though the latter is way, way cooler than a graphic t-shirt. So, Ready-Made, maybe the coolest brand in the world. They're in the running, for sure. Then there's one other Japanese brand that can compete for that title, a brand that stays as close as humanly possible to the creation process of their garments. A brand that the boutique Mr. Porter called the most hardcore brand in the world. They're called black means. These guys started in the late 2000s, founded by 3 dudes who have an equal respect for punk rock and traditional Japanese leatherwork. A great combo, if you ask me. The pieces are hand-cut, hand-printed, hand-studded, hand-distressed, just a lot of hand stuff, okay?
Ooh la la.
And pieces can take hundreds of hours to complete. It's an obsessiveness about craft that these Western designers emailing off tech packs could never dream of. And in interviews, their main founder, the guy from Black Means, Yujiro Komatsu, he talks about how Japanese people have craftsmanship in their genes. Whether that's literally true or not, I find it really interesting because it does seem like in a lot of ways, it's Japanese artisans who are by far the best at staying close to the garment creation process and don't spend time getting obsessed with growing and outsourcing in the same way we do in the West. It's just a totally different perspective. You know what? Let me show you up close what Black Means is all about in a literal, concrete sense. Please allow me to introduce to you maybe the coolest single piece of clothing I have ever picked up. As soon as I unboxed this, I was like, oh, I'm dealing with something on a different level here. I'll be full real with you, full stop. I bought this on the Real, and the Real has the worst product photos that have ever been known to man. So when I bought it, I was like, this looks like it might be cool. No, this is cool, okay? There are a lot of brands that like to talk about craft. They love to say how they've just got the best craftsmanship that's ever existed, and they're all about the craft and craftsmen. No. This is what craftsmanship looks like. This is what care for your brand's clothing looks like. This might be one of the most detailed, well thought out pieces I've ever seen. And first of all, I didn't know that the hardcore thing, you know how Mr. Porter called them maybe the most hardcore brand in the world? I didn't know that was a literal thing because on their neck tag, it says Hardcore Craft Team Black Means. I love that. Because clearly they are both very influenced by punk, hardcore, biker culture, all of this stuff, but also it's literally hardcore craft. They're going hard for their craft. And let me show you why. So this is a quilted jacket. You can see OAMC loves doing this. Ready Made actually does a lot of pieces like this. But as you can see, there's an insane amount of distressing. And I think you'll get the best idea of this by looking at the inside of this piece. Because as you can see, it's fully lined in a knit. And the pattern goes so crazy. You've got these symbols right here, sort of stars, peace signs, and anarchy signs, all knit in, okay? So that's the bottom layer. And then clearly they covered it in this quilted black cotton layer, and then very, very carefully distressed throughout so that the knit underneath starts showing through with these different symbols. And just the way it's done, the scarification of it in these different areas is done to such an incredibly intricate level that you can tell that every single kind of tear was done with a very specific type of intention. Obviously when I look at this, I also see other Japanese brands in here, stuff like Kimry or 14th Addiction. But I'll be real with you, after seeing this in person, those brands could never hold a candle to this. This is somebody slaving over a single piece of clothing for hours and hours and hours, getting every little bit of it right. It honestly, it blows my mind. Of course, it also helps that the actual details of a piece of clothing, in this case a jacket, are really, really well done. Once you've gone Black Means, you don't go back means, okay? Ooh. That's maybe the worst thing I've ever said. I'm so sorry. So, this is the question I'm really asking. What is a designer? Compared to brands like Ready Made and Black Means, your favorite designer is a fraud. Maybe they'll give their teams a vibe, a mood board. Maybe they'll touch some fabrics and say yes, I like that, no, I don't like that. But the most successful, most renowned people in fashion have largely separated themselves from the process of craft. Instead, they're mouthpieces and figureheads. They exist to point their company in a direction and then to explain to the world what that direction is and why it's valuable and why you should really definitely care a lot and spend all of your money on it, okay? And I'm not even saying that's a bad thing. It's an incredibly Western idea, maybe even more specifically an American idea. Make more clothes,
Scale, grow, make more money, hire more people, get bought by a big conglomerate like Kering or LVMH, take over the world.
That is the outlook, okay? The designers themselves are self-interested. They want to be seen as cool, they want to sell more clothes, they want to get that next big job and the next biggest brand. It's that predictable path. Like Demna, he goes from Vetements to Balenciaga to Gucci. Matthew M. Williams goes from Alix to Givenchy. And maybe that's actually a good example of the pitfalls of this path. When you reach so high, there's also a long way to fall. So none of this is bad. It's not terrible. It just feels disingenuous to call these big famous designers in the same way we call Yuta from Ready Made or Yujiro from Black Means designers. And I'm not going to hide my opinion that the latter is better, I guess. Or maybe I respect it more, but I'm also a hypocrite because I buy and wear a lot of stuff from designers that don't operate in this way I claim to respect so much. So according to both myself and Mr. Porter, I guess right now I am both the coolest and most hardcore person on Earth, maybe ever. For real though, this is maybe one of the most ridiculous sets of items I've ever worn. Clearly I did not buy these to be worn together, but I did just want to throw them together because it would be fun, but also to kind of wrap things up here on the details front. I really like the different vibes I'm sort of catering to here. This jacket I would definitely wear with a more like punk, biker, hardcore type of fit. Like if I was going to a show, definitely I would throw on some jeans, a kind of like thrash t-shirt, something like that on underneath. If I were wearing these shorts, I could actually see myself really wearing these in more of a casual context, going out and about. It's like hot out, it's summer, you're just wearing a t-shirt, some shorts, but you kind of want to like show off a little bit, And this bag, I don't know, this bag you wear when you just want to get beat up by jocks in an 80s movie, you know what I mean? This is what I wear when I'm trying to speed run getting called the F slur in public, But maybe that's why I kind of want to keep it. Again, you gotta let me know. Let me know what to do with this baby, okay? But as you can see, there is just so much more depth to dive into here. If this jacket were made by some Western brand, I would be saying like, hey, cool, yeah, the materials seem good, the craft seems good, but like the founder was saying with this, they feel like craftsmanship is in their genes. Like they do this because it is integral to who they are. Yuta, right? This stuff is made with US military material, so definitely a connection for me as an American person, but it's done with a very different intent, both a hatred for war and a disrespect for war, while also having a complete respect for process and materials and craft. And then on the other end, I really love the kind of cheekiness of this. Like, imagine getting these kind of rich women to spend $5,000 on a handbag that's made from like old military bandanas or parachutes or something. It is just so much more thematically rich than, I don't know, a lamb leather handbag that was made in Italy 2 months ago and then got shipped to Maxfield for you to buy and it to end up at your door or whatever, right? So anyway, just make sure you repost this, make sure you get in your votes in the Webbies for most fitted online fashion influencer because I'm winning this thing, okay? So let me know. Do you have a favorite designer who stays close to the creation process? Anyone I should be keeping my eyes on? Let me know down below, like, subscribe to the channel, all that stuff, and join my Patreon. We've got a ton of great exclusives. The Discord is popping off at all times. It's a really great community. I love it so much. Please join, and I'll see you next time. Peace.